Hi, this is Trey Pastor. Welcome to my review of Reign of Superman. Of course, this is the sequel to The Death of Superman, the animated version. I know they did a couple years ago, The Death of Superman, but they did a version, that came out I think last year sometime, The Death of Superman, where they kind of included the Justice League with the whole Doomsday aspect of it, and they included the Justice League in it. So and I thought it was actually a pretty good movie. So this picks up, I think, 6 months after the events of the death of Superman. Reign of Superman, of course, the world is mourning Superman, and of course, Lois Lane is having a hard time moving on and stuff, and the world is having a hard time moving on. And into our lives comes these four figures. You have a Superboy, you have the Eradicator, you have Cyborg Superman, and Steel. Okay, and they all kind of come from individual places, and the world is trying to figure out exactly which one is the real Superman, or are these just fakes? Okay, and that's the kind of the gist of the story. Of course, it gets more complicated as it goes along, and if you read the comics, you know how it turns out. But I just want to, I think they changed a few things up in this, to make it slightly different from the comic book version of it. But I enjoyed this a lot. Again, I think the voice work is really good in this. Of course, Jerry O'Connell returns. You basically got the same cast from Death of Superman. Jerry O'Connell as Superman, Clark Kent, Rebecca Romijn as Lois Lane, Rainn Wilson as Lex Luthor. Okay, and you get introduced to, of course, Cyborg Superman, and of course you have Justice League is involved in this as well. Exactly, and which is, I think, this is slightly different from the way it turned out in the comic books. But again, it's the world adapting to Superman not being here, and their reaction to these four figures the four mysterious characters that come, and they all have their own secret of who they really are, which I don't want to spoil. But I enjoy the way it plays out in the story. And of course, the villain, you have Lex Luthor in there, played by Rainn Wilson, who does a really good job being an asshole. Let's be perfectly honest. Okay, and he's in this, and he plays a really important part in this movie. And of course, there's a big bad in this movie, which I don't want to spoil, okay? But you can pretty much figure that out if you read the comic books. And the big bad, basically put everything in motion. And it's the way it plays out is I really enjoyed the way this played out. I thought this is one of their better comic book adaptations of Reign of Superman. I really enjoyed this. This was a nice two-parter because I think the other Death of Superman was just all in one movie, the one that came out a couple of years ago. But this one they split into two movies. And that added, and then plus they added the Justice League into this. Okay, and you have those same actors, voice actors. Nathan Fillion's Green Lantern, Rosario Dawson as Wonder Woman, Shema Moore as Cyborg, Jason O'Mara as Batman, and it really helps. It fills the story out. The story is, you really feel the lost Superman. I think Rebecca Romijn does a really good job as Lois Lane, that character, because she's the one, of course, that's been impacted the most by, of course, the death of Superman. Because that was they were at their moment where he revealed who he was, and they were going to get married, and of course he died, and of course so she has to deal with that, and she also has to deal with these four new characters and stuff, and trying to figure out which one of these are really are Superman or are they not Superman. And the way it plays out, it's good action in this. I like the animation in this, and I like the way the story plays out again. And they kind of tip their way to what's going to happen in the next movie, which I think is going to be Justice League versus the Fatal Five. Yeah, versus the Fatal Five. Okay, and it's a really good movie. I enjoyed it a lot, and I definitely recommend it, especially if you've seen the first part of this. You definitely have to see this part to see how it concludes. Okay, so I'm going to give Reign of the Superman I'm going to give it a 7.8. I'm going to give it a 7.8 because I really liked it a lot. Again, it's slightly different from the comic book version, but I like the way things played out. I like the characters in this, and I thought it was a really good version of Superman. And maybe eventually they'll put it all in one disc. Maybe eventually, the Death of Superman and the Reign of Superman, like they did Batman when they did Return of the Batman. They first split them into two movies, and they put them, I think, together. So maybe they'll do that eventually in a future version of this. Put the two-part of the Death of Superman and Reign of Superman. Anyway, let me know what you think. If you've seen the Reign of Superman, what do you think of it? Feel free to leave comments down below. And if you like this video, please hit the subscribe button down below. I have links to my Facebook, my Twitter, my Instagram in the description box, as well as a link to my other channel, Paul's Views and Opinions. Please check that out as well. And this is Trey Pastor saying so long and take care.